Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's game day. Okay. So, let me get this set up here. Stay. All right. So today I don't have paper. Thanks. I think we're up against TIP first. So the big thing will be getting them. I don't have a haircut. It's just wet. Oh well. The big thing will be getting them focused on TIP, not tomorrow's game. That'll be the big challenge, I think. All right, let me see. Where's my workbook? Pages. Okay, so what I want to show you is basically, I saw Robert yesterday. Robert and Dylan from Immortals, they're both like down the street from TSM, and I got to say hi to Eugene Pobelter. I haven't seen him since he and I both vacated a little bit. TSM. Where's the there it is. Okay. I found the thing I was going to show you. It's on my computer somewhere. I just couldn't find it. By the way, guys, I really want to share this momentum sheet. I've been working on it based on some tennis momentum research coming out of France with direct actions you should take mentally. Have the scrims team been improving? Yeah, always improvement. If there's not improvement, that's the number one thing I'm trying to train is improvement speed. So I don't really care if teams win or lose as long as they're getting better. And nothing sucks more for a player than when they play a week of training and they feel like they haven't gotten any better. I hate that. Everybody hates that. So yeah, that's the number one thing. And of course, yeah, the team's been improving. So momentum. Momentum is this this force, mental force in a lot of sports, and physical force. So in tennis, for example, you have mental momentum whenever you're ahead and you're playing well, but you can also have no momentum and be way ahead, and the other opponent has tons of momentum, right, and catches up to you. So momentum is mostly psychological in a lot of sports, but in esports it's psychological and physical too. So there's psychological momentum, who has the tempo, and then there's physical momentum, actually if you snowball you actually get bigger, faster, stronger, and smarter in League of Legends because your characters get bigger. So I wanted to share the sheet that I've been working, basically talks about momentum. How do I think they'll do versus CLG? Obviously, okay, so when I am coaching a team, I'm coaching that team. So basically that means that I'm just all in that week on that team. So how do I think TSM is going to do this weekend? Obviously they're going to crush everybody in 2-0. Just the way it is. But if I'm working for Team Liquid in 2 weeks, then Team Liquid is going to crush everything in 2-0. So that's kind of till tomorrow. Kev, I'm with them till tomorrow, and then yeah, that's basically all that Parth and had kind of arranged. So we'll see what happens after that. But I can't stay too long away from Finland. I'm going to be here 3 weeks, and then I got to go back and see my kids. So, yikes. All right. So, some sheet here. I have a quote from Sun Tzu. Basically, the idea that it's momentum in terms of timing and of the engagement. So you have swift force. Yeah, sure, probably. It's the right offer. You have swift force applied at a single point. So let's say that you take the force of a punch and, yes, Nick, but it has to be the right offer. No team has ever been able to offer me something that I was able to accept. So, it's really different when you're hiring a 20-year-old and when you're hiring a 30-year-old professional with kids. So that's the real challenge. Yeah. So anyway, when you have a force like going forward, it depends on the distribution of that force over the area that decides like how painful it is. So when you put a ton of force like over a wide area, like you're doing nothing, right? But when you put a ton of force on a single point, then you can basically, hit through, like that's what a bullet does, right? If a bullet was the size of like a bed sheet, you could shoot somebody with it and it would just like barely knock them over. But since the bullet is the size of a pinprick, it punches through steel. So one of the things I work on a lot is timing with teams, like timing of the turns and the communication system for how to get precise striking. And now when I was with CLG for the boot camp, we were able to work on that all week. That was like our main focus. I wasn't able to do that here at TSM because we had a lot of basics to get through. With CLG, I'd already been working with them for months and months and months. So coming in with the boot camp, we were kind of like upgrading, basically, what we were doing. And at TSM, we had to hit all the basics, and then I had to like hit try to create a basic communication system, essentially, or like they already had one, so I had to like layer it and try to like figure out the problem areas and eliminate them, but mostly try to figure out everybody's strengths, like everybody's roles on the team, and make them clear. I think two really important things are role ambiguity versus role clarity, and then role ownership. So like you have to like know where your role is on the team, and you also have to like it and own it. So like we were doing some of that this week. So I didn't get a lot to do with momentum in terms of like communication, but 3 weeks. So I'm not with the team for 3 weeks. I'm actually just with TSM for 1 week, and then I'm with 2 other teams for 2 other weeks. And so the research shows that like sports psychology work starts making like significant performance change anywhere from 8 weeks and after. So like anything that they succeed in this week has already been developing, and I enhanced it and sped it up. Okay, so like mental toughness is a long journey, and so if I could like explain how it worked with CLG, is basically you start out with like identifying where people are in their journey to mental toughness, and then you go in and you try to bring everybody up to speed on the basics of mental toughness and install a culture where the team is like basically memeing mentally tough things instead of mentally weak things. And that's like the culture of try hard or whatever. And then you let that sit and you push on it, and you grow everybody's mental toughness for a number of weeks, and then you can come in and you can start teaching like specific skill sets, like communication and stuff like that. So that's what I was able to do with CLG. With TSM, I came in to do the mental toughness stuff straight off the bat. So like Peter had already gone through everything in CLG, like 100%. Soren is just like mentally tough, like because of his life experience, and so we're like there's a lot of raw material there to work with. Bora obviously is mature and mentally tough because of his life. Like not everybody has the same kind of life compared to other people. And if you count somebody who like lived in the same city safely their entire life versus people who've like lived in 5 or 6 different countries, you can see that they're more adaptable sometimes and more resilient. And like Kevin and Dennis have their own like performance frameworks that they definitely are like improving on and growing in, and it's really exciting to see that like Reggie picked really. I actually don't know who formed the roster. I assume it was mostly Reggie and like Parth, and I don't know if the new coaches were if JC or Josh and Casey were involved, but they picked really good. Like they picked people who can play well, right? And who are not afraid to be aggressive. The worst thing you can do is like pick a passive player and have to try to make him aggressive in order to be mentally tough. If you have an aggressive player, you can like teach them the difference between risk and danger. But if you don't have an aggressive player, you're kind of screwed, because that means you have to make them want it, right? Aggression is basically a sign of desire. How much does your diet affect performance? It affects it in terms of energy regulation. So like you don't want to eat like a massive pork bowl before you go on stage, because it'll maybe like you'll spend a lot of energy on digestion and stuff like that. And on the other hand, it also affects reaction speed in terms of cholesterol supplements. So you want to be like supplementing with really high quality omega fats in order to increase that kind of myelination in your brain, so your reaction speed actually goes up a little bit over 3-4 weeks. Well, do you think you should spend more time at TSM, or was a week enough? No, a week's never enough. No Huni meat parties. Yeah, you can have Huni meat parties just after the game. Actually, protein has been shown, like protein intake has been shown to slightly increase performance, and that could be like a mental effect of like eating protein and like hormone release, or it could be the effect of actual protein in the gut. We don't really know, but it's like so minor. And the negatives are that like meat takes the longest to digest in the stomach, so it takes the most resources of the body, and then once it gets into the small intestine, like it moves pretty slow. Do you think esport needs more psychologists like yourself? So first of all, I'm not a psychologist. I am an esports psychology consultant or trainer. So psychologists are people that are licensed to use that term to treat mental health issues. And I am not licensed to treat mental health issues. And so I have a master's degree in sports psychology. But I think that like performance trainers, you should have a performance trainer on every team. It doesn't need to be somebody who's science-based, like I'm science-based performance enhancement, but there are like, Navy SEALs who have their own form of performance, like metrics and like theory and stuff like that. And so they train, thinking in terms of like their own ideas, and like this is what high performance is, and they have a lot of like things that they work out just through experience. So I think that there's a lot of different ways to achieve mental toughness and high performance. But in my opinion, like, yeah, I think every team should be investing in a performance coach, not a life coach, but a performance coach, somebody who's going to bring like resilience and mentality. And that's like what I see Casey doing here. Like his title, I guess, from the community is life coach or something, but like he spends time like giving the people discipline, like trying to get them to work out regularly, organizing their schedule, and on top of that, he makes sure that everything is swept off the table for them, so they don't have to focus on the little details. Like in the previous teams I was in, sometimes, but in some of the previous teams I've worked with, like the players have to keep their own notes and their own goals and stuff like that. In CLG, like Tony was fantastic at like coming up with the training stuff for the week, but like in like Casey just does an amazing job of like keeping the players like organizing all the players' brains. Like how you have a notepad and you take notes on it, like your to-do list and whatever, and people call it your paper brain. I feel like Casey's kind of like the paper brain for the players. Sometimes like everything that they need is like always on a Google document, like on their desktop at some point or whatever, which like I've been pushing for that kind of like take it off of their plate kind of mentality, because there's this thing called decision fatigue. Essentially, like one of the reasons that managers came about in esport teams and then like coaches and stuff like that is because decision fatigue, which is the act of having to make tons of decisions, like there's a limited amount that you can do in a day, something like 6 hours like max for average for humans in terms of like full-on focus and making decisions. So every single decision that you make like detracts from your mana pool of decision making for the day until you sleep again. So like let's say that I have to get up and then I have to force myself to go through the routine, and then I have to force myself to take notes and journal, and then I have to force myself to meditate, and then I have to force myself to do all this. Like by the time you get to I'll get to that in a second. By the time you get to your day of training, like you've already used up all this fuel in your brain. And like in Casey's house, like you get up and there's a time. There's like you don't have to decide when to get up. Like there's a time when you should get up. The schedule is taken care of. Like you just go through the routine as it's scheduled. You don't have to think about it. You go to your computer, your notes are there. You don't have to think about it. You go into, you show up exactly at this time for the scrims, and then you do this and meditate and mindfulness training. So it's like, that's the kind of stuff that is like really, I think, important for You just need the basic level. Like once you have that, you can layer stuff on top of it and improve it, which is what I'm doing. But like there is such a difference between working with Fnatic and CLG and TSM, where they have that organizational structure, and working sometimes with other teams where like it doesn't matter if I come in or not, because they're not going to do any of the stuff that I'm training, and I don't have any framework on top of which to layer quality training. So basics are covered here, which is fantastic. I like that. Kev, what was your question again? I'm trying to remember. I don't know Furious Serious. That's kind of up to the players in Parth and Lena and Reggie, and maybe Dan. I don't know who makes the decisions. What was your question, Kev? Dang it. I wonder if you can type again, or if it's somehow locked as far as frequency. Oh, authoritative versus democratic shot calling, right. No team functions on authoritative shot calling. Let me explain the difference. A shot call works when the players believe in it, when the players own it. Let's say that Crumbs on Renegades makes a shot call, okay? Let's say that it's a, okay, I'm not going to use that. Let me go to a different team. Let's say that Faker makes a shot call on SKT, okay? I don't even know all the players' names on SKT. This is a bad... Okay, let's talk about C9, sure. C9 is about one. Let's say that Hai makes a shot call on C9, okay? And let's say that all the players believe in this shot call and know it's going to work, and they take ownership of the call. They say, yeah, like, yes, this is our call. We're going to all in. And so, like, he says, engage, and they're like, I believe it. And they engage, okay? So they listen to him. Now, let's say that they replace Hai with, I don't know, somebody named Bunny Fufu, okay? And let's say that now Jensen gives a call. And let's say that, like, 3 people follow it and 2 people don't, because they're like, I'm not sure that's going to work. And they don't follow it. And then their coach comes in and says, Jensen is now the official shot caller. You must listen to him, period. If he says it, do it. Now we fast forward. Jensen makes a call. 4 other people do it, okay? But inside their minds, 3 of them still believe in it fully, and 2 of them still doubt. They're like, I'm not sure if this is going to work. And then the call doesn't happen. Like, it doesn't succeed. And everybody's like, why didn't that work? And you look at the play, and you look at the pathing, and you look at the fight, and you're like, I don't know, you made this mistake here, and this mistake here, and this mistake here. And these mistakes are a result of conviction, of lack of conviction. You can't fix that with an authority structure. You cannot come from the top down and say, this person is now your authority, and you must believe in him and take ownership of everything he says. That will never happen, okay? The reason that authority structures work in the military is because people are acculturated to this structure of should be flow during set. Disagree. The reason that, like, authority works is because people are acculturated to it, and they have faith in the authority figure, and they believe that following it will make their life better in some way, okay? And even if they don't, like, buy in, their teammates have a culture of buying in. And so they're able to, through their teammates, the conviction of their teammates, like, take ownership of the call. So, yeah, of course, yeah. I'm encouraging stuff like that. Like, I call it productive tension, facilitative tension. So there's 2 kinds of, like, conflict. There's distractive, like, non-facilitative conflict, where, like, Boris says, go top, and Bjergsen says, I don't want to, or, like, that's a dumb idea, or no, that's wrong. And then there's facilitative tension or productive tension, where Boris says, go top, and Soren says, I think mid is better. And they say, why? And they talk about it and they figure it out, okay? How do you resolve an issue between 2 calls? People have to know which call to follow, okay? And that comes through basically, like, team cohesion, and through practice with ownership. So, like, let's say that Dennis like never gets to voice his opposition to any call, okay? And he never gets to make any calls. And so then when a dumb, like, and then he's tilted by, I don't know, something dumb that Bora does. Let's say Bora like misses a headbutt Polv or something. And then let's say that Bora says, Dennis, I need you to go bot. Like, what are you still doing top? Go bot. And now Dennis is like, why am I listening to somebody who just missed their headbutt Polv and cost me a death? Oh my God. Okay, so like fast forward, and let's say that like Dennis is a part of the command structure. Let's say that Dennis is like able to make a call. Yesterday in a scrim, like there was this really tense situation where there needed to be a split or a directional call, and there was nothing, and Dennis just like calmly took over and saved the game. And like everybody listened to him immediately. Like he spoke up, said what to do, and everybody just, bam, did it. Okay, saved the game. It was like the most crucial team fight in the game. And that is exactly what needs to be able to happen. Like everybody needs to understand that their voice is powerful and that they can take ownership of the moment. And when they can do that, they feel the burden and responsibility of that power. And then when somebody else uses their voice, they feel like, okay, well, I have that time, and this time is this guy's idea, and like I'm going to take ownership of it and dive in fully, like 100%. You have to have like that conviction there, and that conviction is hard to structure like from the top down and say this is authority. So you need to have it from the bottom up. You need to have authority, like, or you need to have not respect, I guess, but like you need to have ownership and conviction growing from the ground up, and then you can like eventually find the top person and say this person now has the authority. Even though should there be main shot caller? No, I mean, whatever, it's just semantics, like, call it what you want, but you don't start a team and say, you are now the main shot caller. You start a team and you develop all of the players' voices, and you force them to, like, conflict with each other and have tension and grow, and then eventually one person might emerge as, like, more or less kind of doing the stuff, but the problem with assigning somebody the responsibility is that then everybody else feels like they can slack off. Everybody else says, okay, he's the main shot caller. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you like micromanage my game? Why didn't you tell me what to do? That's not his responsibility. You're the professional player who plays like bot lane, like, or top lane or mid lane. Like, you need to be responsible for your own growth and your own strategic growth. And if you don't know the correct strategic move here, I don't want you to like finish your scrims and then like go play some RPG online and then like go to bed. I want you to finish your scrims and then go study LCK. So in the current environment, it's like, here's the shot caller. Shot caller goes and studies LCK because he needs to make the right shot call, and other people need to listen to him, and that's BS. That's exactly where C9 is right now. This is like the biggest problem with C9 is you take him out, and none of the other players have taken responsibility for their strategic growth, so they have no freaking clue what to do. And like, the best team in the world is going to be the one where like every single player has the capability, like every single player has their own strengths, of their own like knowledge about the game that has been beat into them through their years of training, and they're going to be able to call that knowledge forth for the aid of the team. Okay, so like Sneaky actually knows a crap ton about the strategy, but it's like subliminal. It's below his communication system because he doesn't voice it a lot. Right? He's not trained to voice it a lot. He's not trained to share that information when it's crucially important and when he knows it. Like, whereas Peter, Doublelift, like, he sees a play and he's like, yes, okay, this is a play, and he like commands it, and everybody does it. So that's the difference between like C9 and TSM and CLG, is because like when you have a voice that has power and you're forced to grow that voice and to train it and to make mistakes and make a call in scrims and screw up and realize, oh, maybe that's not right, and like, do you have somebody who's pushing you to like understand what it is you actually know? It's the highway or the highway, right? That's not true. Wait, but it's a funny saying. High doesn't work on C9 because people are required to follow him or he gets mad at them. High works on C9 because people believe in him and have conviction in his calls. The reason that Rox runs a democratic shot calling system, and the reason that everybody is like Immortals and SKT and all these teams are running democratic shot calling systems and it's working, is because that's what it's supposed to be from the beginning. Okay, the authoritative shot calling system was a way for lazy players to off-push their responsibility onto a single person because they didn't feel like working. And that is what gave birth to the idea of like a single shot caller system. Okay, micromanage my game for me. I don't want to learn. I don't want to get better. That's the bad mindset. So if we have to go away from authoritative shot calling and force people to like take ownership of their own game in order to improve and take. So I have a rule basically. This is the rule that I operate on. If you push the button, you're the leader. So if you are the one who's engaging with Malphite ult, then it's your responsibility to know the best time to use Malphite ult. Maybe somebody else will call it and you'll do it. That's great. But if you can't make that same call, then you need to keep studying and improving and getting better until you can do it. Now, it's the same thing with teleport. Like if you're pushing or warding, like let's say you're the one who's warding blue bush, or like you're the one who's invading their lane swap and like harassing them in the jungle. You're the one who's pushing those buttons, so you're in charge of being the best at that. And that means that you need strategic growth, and you need to tell the team what you need to pull it off well, and fill them in on like what kind of like lane pressure you need to extrapolate that strategy. So what players need to improve their individual shot calling? Yes, so players need to improve their individual shot calling in order to improve a team's overall performance. That is basically what I'm saying. Because individual shot calling is a reflection of how well you can voice the knowledge that you have inside of you. I drew a picture for. Do I have lag? I'm really sorry. I don't know if you're serious. I cannot comment on that. I need to see them in like 4 weeks. Okay, so Q&A for 1 second, but I want to go through this sheet. Momentum. You have 4 stages of momentum, or 5. When you have super momentum, when you have slight momentum, when momentum is neutral, when momentum is against you, and when it's like crushing you. And I think there's different ways to think about each of these situations, and that's what I was working on yesterday, but not very well. It didn't go very well at all, which I'm kind of disappointed in. Not because of the players, but because like opportunity wasn't very good, and I couldn't quite figure out the levers to pull to make stuff happen in the team. And I realized that I think that when I was with CLG and I was working on this, like they were just much farther along in their like training with me, so like I knew what levers to pull like more often. So like here I had a lot of things to pick on for the players, and here like I keep picking on like 1 or 2 players who like showed me their major flaws like early in the week, and so I keep jumping on them. But like I need more ammunition in my portfolio, if you know what I mean. So yeah, anyway. All right, I can go back to questions. I need to stay on PTSM permanently. I don't know. I mean, no esport team has been able to offer me enough to move a family to LA. In physics, there's friction. What is the best way to deal with friction on a team? Best way to deal with friction on a team is to love each other so that the friction does not break relationships. And the best way to love each other is to win games. And when you're winning games, to like test the limits of that knowledge of each other and not slack off and just like enjoy the winning, and like, but to like take advantage of the winning to build relationships. And then when you start losing, the relationships stick around, even though the winning didn't. And also making a team lose together instead of lose alone is a big part of that. Because like the reason winning is so good for groups, like unity and group cohesion, is because everybody wins together as a team. And generally everybody's happy with that, right? So IMT is in a perfect position to lose and grow from that, yeah. Yeah, you don't really know the character of a person until they start losing. That's when character is revealed. Winning is easy, losing is hard. So anyway, yeah, but losing together is crucial to being able to maintain the kind of like connectedness that you get when you're just on a winning team. So maybe TSM started out with the best training ever, this season. Traveling to LA is expensive. From Finland, it's like $880, euros actually, for a plane ticket. And then I had to change the departure schedule or the return trip once, and I have to change it again, which is like an extra like 150 or 200 euros every time. So that's kind of freaking insane. People worried about personality clashes and ego. Personality clashes and ego are not really a big deal. Like, it's being able to tolerate people's personalities and egos is the problem. And then mental weakness. Like, I don't really care what your personality or your ego is as long as you're mentally tough. Like, somebody who has a big ego who can't take criticism, it's totally different from somebody who has a big ego that can take criticism. I don't care if you have a big ego, as long as you can swallow it when you need to grow, right? Because personally, big egos, in my opinion, are great for professional sport. Like, how the heck are you going to become the best in the world if you don't have a big ego? Who are having the biggest problems in terms of adapting to the team? Having worked with, ESPN, I can't really talk about that. Having worked with them even if just a week, how do you feel about this team and their potential? Well, I already answered this question. Serious, but basically saying, like, the team I'm working with is the best team in the world by default. Because that's the way my loyalty goes when I'm a consultant. So obviously they're the best and they're going to win everything. If you want my unbiased opinion, I'm actually not sure what to say, because basically I had to stop being a League of Legends fan when I became a League of Legends coach for multiple teams, because it wasn't appropriate for me to cheer for CLG and for C9, so I cheered for them both. And when they were playing with each other, I just didn't watch. It was too painful. And then I wasn't really training C9 for very long, maybe a couple weeks. What do you think about esports culture in Western countries? I like esports. I don't exactly know what you mean by culture in Western countries. Do you mean like within the esport organizations? Oh, culture. Do you think Korean culture helps Korean players? Yeah, Korean culture comes default with a lot of settings for, like, good training environments. Like age-based authority structure, the fact that their lifetime employment system. So, like, you get a job and you're expected to have a lot of positions to grow into. So, like, it's really natural in Korea to transition from player to position coach to assistant coach to head coach to manager to business relations, and along the way you get mentored the whole time. And then even in the player group, there's a structure there. And like, if you look at the SKT training environment, like, they have like a massive training farm where they're like, growing talent. Like, you wonder, like, why does Korea have all the best players? Like, it's not because they have the best solo queue players, it's because they have the best farm teams. Baseball taught us that. What did you do on Enemy when I coached them? On Enemy, I coached them in December of 2014, and this was for their first Challenger Series bid, and they didn't make it. I think they were in the Challenger Series and bidding for the LCS, I think. And I coached them for like 2 or 3 weeks, really quickly before their tournament, and then they didn't make it. And then they traded out some people and got some other people, and then they did make it. And I wasn't trading them at that time. I wonder. I missed the question. Sorry, those last 2 questions faded too quickly for me to see. I feel like there's supposed to be a workshop right now. Where is everybody? Let me check out the training. I need to walk over to somebody's computer and see if I can spy on their calendar. I wonder if Parth or somebody has a calendar around. Maybe it's 11 o'clock, not 10 o'clock, that we're doing the workshop this morning. Am I watching? Yeah, I'm going to be there. Epic memes. Okay, they don't have their calendar up. I don't want to spy on anybody's computer or anything, or their Facebook or their Skype or whatever. Dang it. Nobody has their calendar pulled up on their desktop. All right. Who's the most Kappa Pride player on the team? I don't know what that means. Who will be the shot caller for the macro stuff in game besides Bora? Of course, everybody. TSM, yes. All right. So I'm going to walk around because I don't want my hips to get sore. But I was going to talk today about training, but I guess what I'll do is I'll just answer questions, because you guys are asking fantastic questions, just the best questions ever. And it's allowing me to basically go off on topics. So just Is there a team you've ever wanted to work for? I want to work for SKT, but I don't speak Korean, so that's not going to happen. I wanted to work for Fnatic, and then I made that happen. And Daler is amazing and helped me make that happen. And actually Patrick, their gaming officer. How do you feel about the TSM CLG game tomorrow? I'm kind of apprehensive about it. I'm panicked. I'm nervous because I love both teams to death. Have you ever learned something from a team? Yeah, I learn every single day, nonstop. That's actually my paradigm. That's my operative system, is to learn all the time. I like how you do these Periscopes with Q&A. Too bad you won't be staying. TSM might still follow. Yeah, I mean, the next 2 weeks I'll be with 2 other LCS teams, training them. And how do you feel about ISPA at Fnatic while he was there? Who's ISPA? Is he the previous manager? I started working with Fnatic when they brought in the new manager. Yeah, so I started working when they just had Daylor and the analyst in the house, and then Finley came like halfway through my trip. When do I leave TSM? On Sunday. I'm going across town to Ember, and then I'm going across town to Renegades, LA Renegades, who I've been working with like on and off this like season a little bit, and then I'm going over to Team Liquid. Team Liquid wants to like win the season again, and then actually do well in playoffs. Looks like. Stupina JV, that's not up to me. I provide services and people buy the services, so it's up to the buyers. Of course I'm selling them, but you should decline them all. TSM for life. Why would I decline them all? I don't have offers from TSM. Have you enjoyed your time here in LA? Yes, I love it. I miss my kids though, so yeah, that's the dark side of this trip, is that 3 weeks is the longest I've ever been away from my wife, and and obviously I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and so that is really hard on them. Like, they're starting to really crack already in a weekend. Like, the 1-year-old is not doing very well at all. So, what's the most common issue pros have in esport? Lack of ability to regulate their emotions. We need you to move next door to the gaming house. That would be like $100,000 a year in costs in terms of like just rent, food. So like, to have a 4-bedroom flat in LA with food. I'm American. I'm from Minnesota. Can't you use fundme.com, Weldon, for TSM to become permanent? Sure I can. Somebody wants to set up a fundme.com for TSM's fans to hire me for the team. That would be freaking hilarious. I bet Reggie would be like, this is awesome. Somebody's paying for our sports psychology. That's incredible. Yeah, so anyway, like, I looked into it. Moving to LA with a 5-person family for just cars, food, rent, and insurance for a year would be like $108,000. And that's just expenses. That's then not salary on top of that. So it's freaking insane. If I recall, he's in Finland for a license to do what he does. Yeah, I have a license in Finland. I don't have a license anywhere else, but the Finnish license applies pretty much to the rest of the world. Does Reggie join your sessions? He's like coaching, okay, he's not coaching the team. He is so invested in his squad. Like, he's just so invested in his squad. He's always giving feedback. I haven't seen him. He hasn't been at the house, but I haven't met him yet. I mean, I met him at the LCS when I was there with CLG. I shook his hand because he was the one person whose hand I wanted to shake. I was like at the LCS, and I was focused 100% on CLG while I was there. Like, I don't think it's professional to schmooze and network while I'm at the LCS when I have a team to coach. But I did take a moment to track down Reggie and shake his hand, because I think he and Hotshot are just like the most stand-up guys in esport. Does showing emotions after a loss show mental toughness or weakness? It doesn't matter if you show emotions. It matters if they affect you, your behavior. Who recommended you for TSM? I think Doublelift recommended me to TSM. Peter is amazing. He's like responsible for my career, I think, at this point with TSM. But maybe it's because I did a good job when I was working with him on CLG. but also it just has to do with the fact that he's really freaking good, so that helps. It helps, like, it's so easy to coach the best players in the world because they want to be the best. So, yeah, best advertisement equals satisfied customers. Exactly. Why do you walk? Don't just sit somewhere. Sorry. Is that bothering you? Double lift so excited when you can't. I guess so. Okay, should I stop walking? Sorry. I don't want to sit down because my hips, I can stand like this. Is it good or bad for the team to have a highly emotional player like Dyrus? Emotions are part of performance, okay? They're fuel, but to be emotionally driven is bad. To be values driven is good. So you want to have the emotions, but not let them drive you. When's the team going to the studio? I don't know. I don't have a schedule. House tour, Weldon edition. I'm walking in circles around the kitchen, you guys. This is not a house tour. How about backyard tour? Let's go there. Kind of off topic, what kind of yoga would you recommend? Ashtanga, if you have no severe health problems. Ashtanga yoga is my favorite. It's like super athletic kind of yoga. Yes, Ashtanga, exactly. And just look up primary series, Tanga primary series on YouTube, and there will be people who will just take you right through it. You don't need a yoga coach until you want to improve your form. Missed the beginning. How did the week go with TSM? Pretty good. Is Bora always the first one to wake up? Yes. Bora is up at like 6:45. Do you also have tips on types of food the players need to eat? Yeah, I do. I haven't done my nutrition section with them yet because I was like, nutrition is like the 0.0%, 0.01%, right? It matters a lot more how the shot calling's going than how their nutrition is. So this week I've been spending all of my time on the most important stuff only, and none of my time on the accessory stuff. Without giving numbers, is esports coaching a job to live off? I just quit my job to do esports full time, and I have 3 kids now, well 2.5. Do the players meditate? Yes. Do you have any opinions on the players? Of course, I love them. They're awesome. Lumbar disc injury, just ask your doctor then. Actually, maybe your doctor would be a bad person to ask. Ask like yoga people. This is their drug pile. A lot of good stuff, no bad stuff. And then some Danish stuff, which I don't know what it is. I don't know. Supplements. Favorite person I work with? Double lift. Peter's awesome to work with. I think fairly well. I'm not sure. You'll have to ask them afterwards. Those are Danish libido pills, like for handling all of the female American fans. It's tough when you're a Dane to... yes, it's illegal to do Adderall before the LCS, and there is no Adderall on that shelf, and there's no Adderall in the house. That would be pretty bad if there were Adderall in the house. And how does a girlfriend-boyfriend affect players? Depends on the person. Like, professional athletes have girlfriends and boyfriends. You got to have the right... So, like, okay, let me answer this question for a second. Pause. If you're living the life of an elite athlete, so an elite performer in any craft, I don't care if it's music or esport or politics or business or whatever, then you have to dedicate a certain amount of time to your craft, okay? And that means sacrifice. So if you are that kind of person, you have to find the right spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend. You have to find somebody who basically like believes in your mission and is there to support your craft, and who does not require things of you that would like not grow you. So I don't mean like having more balance. Like they should require things that grow you. So you should be challenged by them, and you should like lose time to train, and you should have to be more efficient and optimal, and you shouldn't like, they shouldn't just like cook your food and like take care of your kids or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that selection of your spouse or your girlfriend or your boyfriend is one of the most important decisions you make in your life. And it should be one that suits like where you're headed. So yeah, just be really careful with that, because like if you have the right person, it will make you better. If you have the wrong person, it will distract. What's the best way to get in the zone? We got a glimpse of it on TSM Legends. Best way to get in the zone is to not care about the stuff that knocks you out of the zone and ignore it all. Because being in the zone is easy in video games because they're so addictive and awesome. And so basically it's the stuff that pulls you out that's the problem. Are they seeing any immediate results? I'm not sure. I think there's also always a boost when I'm here, but I don't know how permanent it is. So, like, it's easier to focus on scrims when there's some, like, dude behind you, like, staring over your shoulder and criticizing everything that you say. And then people try harder. But if I leave, like, are they going to keep trying hard? And if I stayed, like, a month, you know, the effect would wear off. So that's not really the effect I'm looking for. I'm looking for more of a long-term change. I thought I was going to have to cut this short because there was a workshop coming up preparing for LCS, but I think I'm an hour off on that. So how long are you working with TSM? How long did I stay with CLG? I worked with CLG from February of 2015 until the week before Madison Square Garden, where they decided they didn't need me anymore. And then I worked with Tony through IEM San Jose for 4 weeks in prep. And then I think that, like, I know that Tony wants to still do workshops, like, but I don't know if the rest of the management staff does, and I don't know if the players want that, and I know that they think I'm maybe too expensive for the individual work now. I don't know. I don't have any information from them, aside from what Tony will tell me. So, then, what was the question, Himlev? Retention, yeah. What's the best way to have retention without repetition? Focus. The deeper your focus, I have a graphic for this. I have a graphic for this. Are you ready? You ready? What is the most important thing for retention? Because this is the question. This is the question of the day. How do you train less and learn as much as somebody who has to train more? That is the key. This is the best question ever, because that's basically like what I'm trying to do here. So first of all, let's talk about the science of retention. Being in the zone can give you up to 200 to 500% increase in learning as measured by MRI scans, okay? So like, you just learn more when you're in deep, deep focus, okay? So deep focus, like flow state, really explodes your brain's ability to retain automated behaviors and automatic reflexes. And there's a graphic I drew for this. Hang on, I'm almost there. The zone is deep focus. Yeah, the zone is deep focus. Okay, so first of all, let's take a look at this. Here is motivation and deep focus. So when you're super motivated, it's really easy to get super focused and be in the zone, okay? Deep focus. When you're super unmotivated, then it's really hard to have deep focus and really hard to learn new things, because you have to drive your mind. With motivation is energy, it's fuel for driving your mind to be on point. And if your mind's not on point, then you can't retain things as quickly, as easily. So you have to repeat more. And so your motivational cycle matters a lot for your deep focus. But you can actually train your deep focus to stay high no matter what your motivation does. So that's what we're doing. It's like, okay, your motivation is always going to go up and down because it's emotion, so let's keep your focus high anyway. Okay? Then, here's the chart. So it goes like this. You have motivation, which gives you deep focus, which gives you learning. What if you didn't worry about the motivation, you did mindfulness training, which gives you deep focus, so that you can have learning, no matter what your motivation level is. So that is the key there to that question. And also, you can also just improve your motivation here with gratitude conditioning. Gratitude conditioning is a precursor to joy, and joy is one of the emotions that highly regulates motivation and kicks out stress, frustration, anger, and sadness. and all the other motions. So here then is learning a new motor movement. So this is like the old, you said focus helps retention. When cramming, I am focused but don't retain. What's the difference? Deep focus. Hilmkev, I need some more information, but my guess would be that, and I don't want to like accuse you of anything, so this is tough to be consulting over the internet or whatever, but yes, my teachings work on solo queue players. Go check out mindgames.gg, furious, for all the articles I write. Okay, Hilmkev, my guess would be that like you're confusing like focus, like task focus, with deep focus. So task focus is like I'm doing this thing and I'm trying to do it, and I'm getting it done. Okay, I'm just going through the motions, okay? Deep focus is a chemical cocktail in the brain that is similar to flow state. So what you should do, Hilmkev, is read the book The Rise of Superman to learn about the biology of flow state and understand why the biology of deep focus is different from feeling focused. Because I'm using a term here that has like that I'm kind of meaning in terms of like a neuroscience way. So that would be my recommendation. You can also search The Rise of Superman and look at some of their SlideShare graphs, or SlideShare like slide decks. I think that there's some cool information there. And I think if you search the author, you will find podcasts and interviews that he's done, and then you could listen to some interviews that he's done. So I'll just point you to more resources on that. But that would be my guess, is that you need to differentiate between task focus and deep focus. Sorry I'm late, but what do you think of Bjerg's attitude? Positive. Yes. Bjerg's awesome. He positively wants to win worlds. If deep focus is a chemical reaction in the brain, shouldn't there be medication for it? There is. It's called Adderall. I love how you apply this to many things. Yeah, it can be applied to everything. It's just performance at life. Castaned, in a deeper answer to your question, in flow state, there are tons of neurotransmitters released in the brain. You can activate these neurotransmitter releases with drugs, such as heroin and cocaine and marijuana and alcohol. However, if you try to produce the state of deep learning using drugs right now, like a cocktail, you would end up in a coma on the ground, like vomiting out foam and probably brain dead. So the reason there's not a drug is because we haven't figured out a way to mechanically, with chemicals, elicit this kind of response yet. But I think that like Ritalin and Solo Q are the ones that really are stimulants. So they drive focus, which drives learning. Who are the best performers on TSM at the moment? All of them. Drugs used relieves the brain from producing the right chemicals. Dependency, right? I'm not really sure, Algun. I don't know much about like pharmacology or medical science, so I don't know the answer to that question. I do know that supplements like tire the body from producing that chemical, so you should never go supplement all the time. You should always cycle on and off of supplements. I don't know if fish oil counts. I don't know if fish oil is like a supplement, quote unquote, or if it's just like a dietary addition. I was wondering why there was an Adderall problem in esports. Yeah, you can read the article that I wrote on my blog, Castaned, about, I think it's like doping in esport. I wrote a big article about it. What do you think about players on caffeine? Caffeine is a performance-enhancing drug that's legal. You should use it to the maximum you're able to. Caffeine chart incoming, yes. I showed the caffeine chart yesterday. So deep focus releases endorphins. I don't know what an endorphin is. What is an endorphin? Let me look it up. Oh, people are waking up. Yay. Gotta look up what an endorphin is. Have you had I have had Korean barbecue in Seoul. And so having Korean barbecue in LA is like a sad replica of that. I will look that up while I get my car for endorphin. Endorphins are endogenous opioid neuropeptides. They're produced when the central nervous system and the pituitary gland. The term implies a pharmacological activity as opposed to a specific chemical. What are examples of endorphins? Uh, alpha endorphin, beta endorphin, Y endorphin, A neo. Inhibit transmission of pain signals. Okay. So they inhibit the transition of pain. Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess. I mean, when you're in flow state, you don't feel any pain, practically. You know, people who are like running and they're like running frantically to get away from something and they're totally in the zone and then they look down and they realize they have this massive gash on their leg and they never even felt it happen. We learn 99, you learn 1. Oh, gotcha. Nice ratio. I'm always learning. Every question you ask, I learn about you and your interests and what you care about. It's all going in. So look at what's the best mentality to go into games with. I think that this is best summed up with the research by Carol Dweck on fixed versus growth mentality. So just search Carol Dweck growth versus fixed in Google and click image search and look at the chart there. And growth mindset is the best thing because it's like long-term growth. Fixed mindset is like, I have to win this game or else I'm a bad person. And growth is like, I have to learn this game and be better than I was when I woke up. And that's not actually what it's like. In research, it's about gain versus loss, so playing to win versus playing not to lose. And it's really about like threat versus challenge. And so, like, I'm not sure that I teach fixed versus growth anymore. I think I'm changing into gain versus loss. But it's still one of the best ways to like be introduced to the idea. I get a lot of hearts. You guys are hearty. Are you planning on growing out your goatee? No. My wife does not like facial hair. Does adrenaline affect players negative? It affects players positive. Adrenaline is the opposite of noradrenaline. Noradrenaline like restricts your blood vessels, makes your limbs cold, makes your heartbeat regular, like causes you to see threats, whereas adrenaline like dilates your blood vessels in your lungs, increases oxygen flow, activates your like fight mechanisms in your brain, and noradrenaline is basically converted to adrenaline like through I think cortisol has a part to play in that. And so like one of the big problems the players have is when they have tons of noradrenaline and not enough adrenaline. So adrenaline is actually really, really, really good for sport performance. So no, adrenaline is not a bad thing for performing on stage. In fact, the precursor to noradrenaline and adrenaline is testosterone. And testosterone, you'd think, doesn't have much to do with aggressive, like e-sport performance, like, you know, chess or whatever. But the research shows that the chess players who enter into tournaments with the most testosterone actually win, are more likely to win. So, yes, that's amazing, Ogun. Thank you. Adrenaline, let's go. Noradrenaline, let's get the fuck out. Or you could say adrenaline, let's win, and noradrenaline, let's not lose. Like, okay, so noradrenaline like pulls blood from your peripherals into your core because it thinks you're about to lose your arm and it doesn't want to bleed to death. Okay, and adrenaline puts blood out into your arms and legs because it wants you to run fast. So you can sense the difference mentally here. So many big words, OPA, OP. What are your thoughts on players saying things like, my bad, or shouldn't have done that? Focusing on the past. You do need to apologize to your team if you need to improve the connectedness. And what you're really asking for when you apologize for the team is for forgiveness. So then your team needs to say, we love you anyway, let's win now, and pull your attention back to the present if you're not able to do it yourself. So yeah, if you have to apologize because you can't focus, then you should do it, and then you should drop it and move on. It's not about what goes wrong, it's about what you do next. I mean, in game, shouldn't it not be said or just talked about after? It should be talked about after, yeah, but like let's say that you make a mistake and your teammate's tilting because of it, and if you apologize, then they're going to untilt. So then you give your teammate what he needs, if it doesn't affect you at all. But let's say you make a mistake and you're tilting because of it, and you just need to apologize. So you apologize, And in the act of apologizing, you tell your team, I feel bad about this. And they say, hey, stop feeling bad about it. And then you can move on. So in that case, it's, I really want to work with CSGO teams. I think CSGO is like a totally different mental toughness arena than League. Like League is a marathon and CSGO is a tennis match. So I really want to work in tennis because like I think that it's really fun. Marathon training is hard. Like you have to be so mentally tough to win a marathon. It's freaking insane. Whereas like tennis, like you get to reset every 2 minutes, and your mental toughness is more of like how can you get that reset going. Whereas League of Legends and marathons are all about how long can you sustain your mental toughness for, which is like ridiculous. I can tell you still have that love for CS. Yeah, I played CS 1.6. Like lost my life into it in college. I was swimming, playing Counter-Strike and studying. And then I got a girlfriend. And then I had swimming, playing Counter-Strike, studying, girlfriend, and it was too much, so I had to drop one. So I dropped studying, and then I practically failed out of college. So, yeah, something's got to go. And then eventually I had to quit swimming because I got injured, so then that freed up some more time for Counter-Strike. Yeah, it was pathetic, but whatever. I did hit rank 1 on campus for like a number of weeks. I was really proud because there was a really highly ranked national player on campus. How much longer will we be staying on Periscope? I think I gotta go soon. Good morning. Yeah, people are up. Oh, do you have the calendar? Can I look at the calendar, Dennis? Was it 11 or 10? Okay, good, it was 11. All right, it's not my fault. Thanks. Yes. One more. Do CSGO teams have coaches like yourself? I imagine they have too, since otherwise... No, I don't think so. I've worked with one CSGO team for like a couple weeks. CLGs. But CSGO teams don't have enough discipline right now to be forced to do stuff. Like League... Okay, so League of Legends players are younger, and they are dragged into team houses and basically corralled into doing stuff like what I'm doing. CSGO players have a lot more autonomy right now. They're still not in gaming houses sometimes, most of the time sometimes. They're still choosing their own schedules and setting their own habits. So when you get them with a performance psychologist and he says, do all this stuff, and then they don't do it, then what's the point? Yeah, a lot of CSGO teams don't even have team houses, so I can't come in and do workshops. So I do online workshops, and their behaviors don't change. They just listen to some stuff and then keep doing whatever they were doing before. So, yeah, I really hope that CSGO is a good development for that. But yeah, the first CSGO team that kind of all ends on that is going to have a lot of growth. What are the players' morning routines? They're all different. They all should be different. They should each optimize their own kind of performance mindset, basically. What the precursors for their optimal performance are. Okay, so I have 15 minutes to prep for this workshop. So I want to go away to the whiteboard and draw. So I gotta take off. Sorry, everybody. How should players handle high pressure situations, especially late game? By leaning into the pressure and embracing it, because it's going to make them perform better. Not filming Mind Games TV today? Nope, no Mind Games TV today. It's the weekend. Film Kev, oh, I miss you too. Thanks for all the hearts, everybody. And bye-bye. I'm going to go prep the workshop, and I will see you tomorrow morning, maybe, before tomorrow's LCS. We can talk about the game and what I thought about it and what the good points were and what the bad points were. Ciao, everybody.